What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Need for Speed Unbound, and in this video I did want to give you guys my official thoughts and pretty much a review type of video for it, because I really haven't done this yet. I was basically focusing on all the collectibles and all that, which I will leave a tag on the screen if you guys actually want to check that out, because you can get yourself 3 free cars on the game, which I would say is pretty huge. Not only that though, it does give you like some trophies and stuff, but nonetheless though, how is Need for Speed Unbound? I'm sure many people might be asking themselves if they do want to get the game, so hopefully I can answer that in this video for you. But to be honest guys, overall first impressions, now I have been playing Need for Speed 3 days early because I did get the Palace Edition. I have honestly been enjoying basically every second of it. I mean, right from the first race, I was like, man, I'm liking this so far. It feels really nice to be on a new Need for Speed game, being able to race, and I'm sure one of the biggest topics with this game is probably going to be the effects, because you'll probably notice that pretty early on. I'll get into more of that later on in the video though, but one of the first things I noticed about Need for Speed Unbound is probably going to be the way the cars handle, and or I guess you could say the handling in general. If I had to guess, guys, I would say it's pretty dang good for the most part. You can obviously adjust things in like the settings with your cars. Once they're actually leveled up a good amount, you can go from like drift to actually like gripping and all that good stuff. I'm sure many players might be like kind of mixed on how you can break the drift and all that, similar to Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010. I personally kind of like that feature and I think it's pretty cool. Sure, they could probably adjust some things on it, but let me know in the comments below, guys, in some ways they could fix that if you do not like that. I do want to know what everyone thinks, because I think it's pretty awesome, but I can definitely see where players are coming from if you do want something different, and or at least the option to completely turn something off. I do understand that, but even with the break to like drifting element in the game, I would say a lot of players are still really going to like Need for Speed Unbound. I mean, I did notice that right away, and being a big fan of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010, I was actually really enjoying it a lot, but I can definitely see where players are coming from with it. One of the other big things I did notice right off the bat with the game, guys, is the fact that the cars actually feel like they have weight, and or depending on what you might be driving, the cars really do feel like they have weight to them. For example, driving the Mustang Boss 302 was the car that I picked first. I don't know what it is, but I really do love muscle cars, so I was like, you know what, let me pick that thing, and it's a classic and all that stuff, plus that insane V8 sound. But nonetheless though, from driving that then jumping into something like the Lotus and then the Fox Body Mustang, you can definitely see a difference with the cars on how they drive and handle, which is definitely pretty awesome. This is also coming from someone who does play the Crew 2 a lot, and I feel like after playing Need for Speed, I can definitely see how the games are going to be different in their own ways. But one of the ways I've always looked at this though is the fact that each game is going to have their positives and negatives to them, and you pretty much have to find things you really do like about them. I'm sure some games have better elements than others and all that stuff. That can basically go for anything. But for the most part, guys, I would say Unbound is going to have a really good handling model. For example, when you guys are jumping and doing weird things with cars, and honestly things cars should not be doing, even then I feel like a lot of the vehicles in the game still seem to be very stable, and also very manageable to actually drive for that matter. Like for example, guys, on the Crew 2, one thing I was noticing is some of the cars struggle so bad with like the twitchiness and all that when you're going really fast. Like let's say you're doing 200 miles an hour or something, which the sense of speed on the Crew 2 is obviously a lot different than Need for Speed. You might have issues getting away from one of the vehicles even at like 150, because the car might get twitchy and or like lose its stability really bad, which I can definitely see that being an issue. But playing Need for Speed Unbound, I notice even at higher speeds you can still dodge vehicles easier, and I feel like the overall handling model is going to be improved and or a lot better than it was in the past, which I think will make a lot of players happy. Now, one thing I also do want to talk about, guys, is going to be the map on Need for Speed. So for one, the map in this game is so much bigger than I actually thought it was going to be. I was not expecting Need for Speed's map to be this big. Not only that though, I feel like there's a lot of things to explore and a lot of different areas you can drive, like for example like a nice mountain road, or you can get that nice like city driving aspect, and you can even drive by the water as well. So it's going to have a nice design and or flow to it. Plus I really do like the roads you can drive on. Obviously there's going to be over 140 cars in the game, so there's going to be a lot of them you can choose, and we finally have the Bugatti. My goodness, it took so long. I'm so happy to see that car in the game. By the way, guys, let me know in the comments below, does anyone know why the Bugatti has been at a Need for Speed for like 7 years now? I'm actually pretty curious on that because I do find that kind of odd, but regardless though, we have a lot of vehicles to choose from on the game to drive around this beautiful map. Not only that, we're also going to have some collectibles and like speed traps and like drift zones, so it will give you a lot of things to go after. Achievements and or making extra cash on the side around the map is pretty awesome. I would say many people are probably going to enjoy it. And then after all that, you also get to throw in some police chases around the map as well. And my goodness, guys, level 5 heat is going to be intense for many players. That Ford Raptor legit is super menacing. My goodness, if you guys have not seen it, I'm sure you probably will. That thing is going to be insane, especially if your car is a little bit lower leveled. My goodness, that thing is really fast. If it does manage to hit you, good luck. My goodness, that thing is insane. But looking forward to actually getting higher leveled vehicles on the game and stuff like that to really mess with the police more. I have definitely been having a good time with the police chases on Need for Speed Unbound because I really do feel like it adds like an extra dynamic to the game, and I really think it would not be Need for Speed without the police as well. So jumping into the next topic though is going to be the campaign and like the animated aspect of the game, I guess so to speak, like the characters, which I'm not gonna lie, was kind of mixed on the animated type of characters at first, but after playing the game a bit, I'm honestly glad they took an approach like this with it because it is going to be a little bit different. I do understand that they do have to like implement different ideas into games to make them like more interesting and, maybe grabbing different audiences, and unfortunately when doing that you're probably going to lose other players and or like OG fans and stuff like that from like the older racing games and or like, Most Wanted 05. But to be honest, guys, I would try to look past the animated part of that because I would say the story is actually really engaging. I've been kind of sucked into it so far, which after playing Need for Speed 2015, I really did not know what to think anymore. And not only that, Payback's story was definitely, well, I guess terrible for that matter. So I would say Unbound is definitely going to be a lot better when it comes to a campaign. I would say a lot of players like it. Let me know your guys' thoughts about the campaign so far in the comments below, but overall, I would say the animated like aspect of the game is probably going to be kind of weird for many, but also a lot different in a way that I think many players might like it. And now I guess I basically saved one of the touchiest subjects for last, and that's probably going to be like the effects on Need for Speed Unbound. So it's going to be like the wings when you jump or you hit your nitrous, so when you have that like other boosted nitrous load up and you hit it and you see all the things pop up on your screen and stuff like that. I would say a lot of people have been talking about this. I have been noticing around the community many people are not happy about it. I would say one of the best ways to solve this, guys, is to actually be able to turn it off, which apparently was going to be a feature, but it is not in the game at the moment. At least I don't think it actually is. Let me know in the comments below if there is a way to turn every single effect off in the game. I would say they will most likely add that into it later on, but I think that probably should have been on release because it seems many players have been mixed on the effects in Need for Speed, so I would say if there was a way to actually turn it off, would most likely solve many of those issues in the future, but I would think they're probably going to do that. And again, guys, if there is a way to turn off all the effects, let me know in the comments below. I would say there probably isn't, but then again, I would think that they're probably going to add that in pretty quick because many players did not want to get Need for Speed because of that. And I do want to mention though, even though it is definitely kind of weird to have in a racing game, I've been kind of liking the effects a little bit. It adds like a different like dynamic to the game, I guess so to speak, and it might make the game more like interesting, I guess, in a way, but I could definitely see why a lot of players are not big fans of that. So to basically sum it all up, guys, I would say Need for Speed probably has more positives than negatives. I would say the biggest thing making players wonder if they want the game is probably going to be the effects, which if I had to guess, there will most likely be a way to completely remove that if you do not want it. Overall, though, I would have to say Need for Speed is going to be a lot of fun. I, for one, been having a great time on this game, and I am planning to do a lot more content on it, like car reviews, tuning, probably a lot of police chases, maybe messing with a lot of the vehicles as well. So definitely stay tuned for that in the near future, but let me know what you guys think about Need for Speed Unbound in the comments below.